Hey, Capt here, preacher at large, teaching the word, inspiring 3 minutes at a time. Hey, I want to talk about persecution of the church. In the first century, the church was persecuted. And that is actually what propelled the gospel. In Acts chapter 4, we see in verse 18, and so they called them and commanded them not to speak nor to teach in the name of Jesus. And that was just one example of persecution. All sorts of persecution. Paul was beaten and put into jail several times, or Peter, excuse me, and just all throughout the New Testament. And then as you read church history, look, the church was persecuted, and it was pushed out of Jerusalem. But the persecution of the church is what caused the gospel of Jesus Christ to be propelled worldwide. So yeah, it was tough on the church, but the church was spreading worldwide. And then about 3 centuries later, Christianity actually became the state religion. Right? And so good came out of that persecution. But now we're seeing a swing back towards going away from the church. The last 30, 40 years, we've seen all sorts of attacks on the church. We're seeing laws put on the books to prevent churches from doing things. Every time we turn around, we're seeing religious liberties being cut back, right? Things that thought you would never have to deal with in your conscience. The latest Supreme Court decision is going to affect the church, and the church is in persecution right now. It's not that bad yet, but it's going to get worse. And there's going to be more laws put on the books, right? And so as the church is being persecuted, you have to understand it's going to help us to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ. So this is not a doom and gloom message of, oh, poor us, poor the church, we're being harassed, right? It is about telling the church to rise up. Don't let this moment go in history. As it gets worse and worse for the church, and it will, and it's going to be shorter than you think, that you're going to start seeing more laws and more things that are going to come against the church and against Christianity and against believers. But use this time of persecution to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ. Just like the first century church, it actually propelled the gospel from one city, Jerusalem, to the whole world. So, church, rise up and let the gospel of Jesus Christ be spread. Don't get upset with the persecution. Don't get mad at the persecutors. Simply preach Jesus and Jesus crucified and Jesus raised from the dead. Preach the gospel of Jesus Christ. Now, go get your face in the book.